In whiskey making, there's a beautiful and costly reality called the angel's share. As whiskey ages in oak barrels, a portion of it evaporates into the air. Distillers never get it back. It's gone. Over the course of 10 or 12 years, a barrel can actually lose up to 40% of its whiskey. It's pretty staggering when you think about it. Imagine losing almost half your investment right into the air, and yet every distiller accepts it as part of the process because without it, whiskey would never develop its depth, richness, or complexity. It's actually the loss that makes the spirit what it is. Leaders face their own version of the angel's share. At some point in a career, it's not just about what you've gained, the titles, money, growth, the outward markers of success. There comes a moment when you begin to ask yourself, what am I willing to let go of in order to pursue significance? Letting go of always needing to be the smartest person in the room? Letting go of busyness disguised as productivity? How about letting go of opportunities that look good, but don't always align with your purpose? Just like whiskey becomes unique because of what's lost, leaders become significant because of what they choose to release. Success accumulates. Significance distills. The same principles apply to organizations. Not every project, idea, or campaign should survive. Businesses often cling to initiatives long past their usefulness because they're afraid to waste the investment. But clarity comes through subtraction, not addition. Random acts of marketing dilute the brand. Legacy programs that no longer serve the mission weigh teams down. Chasing every trend spreads resources thin. When leaders make the intentional cut, the letting go of distractions and non-essential efforts, the strategy gets stronger and the vision becomes more clear. Just like the angel's share makes the spirit more true and concentrated, a focused strategy creates more powerful and a distinct brand. So here's 2 questions for you. What's your angel's share? That loss you've already experienced. And 2, what do you need to let go of? Intentionally, so that what remains becomes more focused, more powerful, and more significant. Loss can be painful, but when embraced with clarity, it becomes the very thing that shapes your uniqueness. The angel share found in the distillation process reminds us, you can't keep everything. Distillers know that evaporation is part of crafting something remarkable. Leaders and businesses must learn the same truth. What you release may be just as important as what you keep. When was the last time you ever felt the weight of resisting change? A change that you knew you had to make? Maybe it's a role that you've outgrown. Maybe it's a responsibility you should have handed off a long time ago. Maybe it's a project or a client that no longer aligns with your values. We fight it. We cling to it. We tell ourselves, I can't let go. If I do, I'm going to lose too much. But you know deep down that something has to give and you really need to let it go. As I shared in the opening of today's podcast, in whiskey making, it's called the angel's share. It's the part of the whiskey that is let go, evaporates during the aging and refining process when you're making whiskey. In leadership and in life in general, it's the same. If nothing is released, nothing matures. Welcome. I'm Steve Moscato, and this is Crafted Clarity, where we explore the tension between what you've built and what you're built for. Distillers don't panic about the angel's share, that part of the whiskey that gets lost. They expect it, and in fact, they even build it into the process. And here's the fascinating part. The barrels that lose the most often end up producing the richest and most complex whiskey. The whiskey that people hunt for, the ones that become rare and valuable, and the ones that are only shared with close friends. That's the picture of the in-between. At some point in our lives, you've probably built something good. Maybe it's your career, a business, or maybe it's just your reputation. You've worked hard at it, and it's something worth protecting. But if that something isn't fully aligned with who you are, you're going to find yourself in that tension. I had to face this tension myself in my own business. I had a nonprofit client that I worked for with many, many years. It seemed like a perfect fit. Their mission was to serve an underserved and growing population. And my wife and I are personally involved with that community, both back in Chicago and now here in Nashville. I align perfectly with their mission, and I believe in their vision. I've always wanted to make sure that my clients align with my values, so I'm very selective at the clients that I work with. Furthermore, to be a true partner to my clients, I have to have that alignment. I don't want to be a vendor. I don't want to be a service provider. I want to be a partner. And in the beginning, that's how this relationship was. But over time, their leadership and their culture had shifted. And little by little, it began to clash with my own values. As I was focusing more on what mattered to me and what was aligned with my values, I found myself bending, even breaking my own rules just to keep the relationship alive. Eventually, I noticed that I no longer looked forward to their emails, and my stress level spiked every time before a meeting, and the work that I should have been being fulfilled from was actually frustrating. The cost of hanging on wasn't just stress, it was time. Time that I could have given to clients that I truly enjoy working with, the ones who value our presence, value our partnership, and truly value our contribution. So the decision was clear. They had to go. We had to part ways. But that was easier said than done. Letting go would cost my business a lot of money, as they were a very large client. Eventually, though, I came to the terms that they had to go and really got a handle on what this relationship was costing me. And here's that angel share. I had to be okay with letting things go. I had to trust the process that was the best for me and for my brand. Just like whiskey improves the brand if it's good, it was the same for me. And what happened next? Well, after we parted ways, there was freedom. There was peace. And more opportunity to work with those who are more aligned and who truly share our mission and vision. Work that feeds not only the business, but my soul. And here's a really amazing part. Stepping back from that relationship created space for something brand new. It allowed me to build this podcast and to start Crafted Clarity. So that's the paradox. Sometimes the thing that you can't let go of, that you think you can't let go of, is actually the one thing that's holding you back. So maybe that's where you are right now. If you're a leader, you might be feeling it when the role that once gave you energy now weighs you down. If you're a manager, it might be when you're caught in between the expectations from management and the reality and the carrying the responsibilities that don't align with your team's mission. It could also be because those expectations go against the systems that you and the organization have in place. If you're an executive, it might be realizing the success metrics and achievements that once defined you no longer give you meaning. The awards, the accolades. And if you're just navigating life, it might be that project, a relationship, or the identity that no longer fits who you're becoming. This tension applies to organizations too. It's that space between what they've become as an organization and what they're supposed to be doing. You can sense this when the work and the priorities and the energy is poured into random projects that don't move the organization forward. You can see this one every day. In fact, go look for a company that prides themselves on great customer service and see if they have a live chat or a 24/7 customer service representative available. If they don't, how are they delivering on that excellent customer service? Or find an organization who claims to be all about the community, yet don't go out of their way to partner with organizations and charities in the community and actually give back. So what do we do with this tension? Well, letting go isn't just random loss. It's intentional release. What that means is we have to be clear of what needs to go and what needs to stay. Here are some ways that I help my clients, both individuals and organizations, when they're in this space, this tension. 1, define or redefine your mission. You need to ask yourself, what's important now? What's true about you? And what aligns with your values? In organizations, it's clarifying, why do we exist? What do we do? And does our strategy reflect both those things? 2, honestly look at what doesn't match. Name projects, roles, habits, or even marketing activities that no longer support your mission. These, again, are these random acts of marketing. If you are talking about marketing activities, they eat your resources, but they don't move you forward. For individuals, do the things you spend your time and your money on align with your values, or will they help you move towards where you want to be? If you're about fitness and, being in good health, do you work out? Do you eat junk food? It's as simple as that. Well, I say it's simple, but it could be difficult. 3, sticking to the process. Like the whiskey in a barrel, you can't crack it open too soon. In business, this means trusting the strategy that you've worked on. Trust it long enough for it to work, and don't go chasing every new idea or trend. In business, this is the solid strategy that everyone follows no matter what. It's keeping that barrel in the rickhouse and not opening it up before it's ready. 4, learning to say no. Saying no to the wrong things is what allows you to say yes to the right ones. Again, back to my example, saying no to that client meant that I could say yes to the right ones. For a team, that might mean fewer initiatives or more focus or a better alignment. And 5, give yourself grace. The in-between is hard. And when you're learning to release what was once serving you well, that takes courage, and it could be painful. Trust me, I know it could be painful, but give yourself some grace. These 5 points, this framework, applies whether you're leading yourself, managing a team, or guiding an organization, or simply navigating life. If any of this resonates with you, here's a step that you can take this week. Write down one thing. It could be personal, it could be in your organization, just one thing that you feel is costing more than it's giving back. Again, for me, this was the dread of working with a client that no longer aligned with my purpose and my mission. It was draining me of resources, and it was draining me of joy. Once you have that, ask yourself, what if I keep this? What future is this costing me? What's that opportunity cost? But if I release it, and I release it with intention, what space does it open up for more clarity and more significance? Remember, it's the barrels that give up the most of the angel share that often produces the best whiskey. It's the same true for us. Letting go won't weaken you when it's intentional. When it is intentional, it refines you and it shapes you. So, as we wrap up today, if you've ever gone to a whiskey tasting, you know about tasting notes. They give you a piece of paper, they give you a pencil. These are the quick impressions that you jot down after sampling a whiskey. The notes could be flavors or aromas that stood out to you. It's not expert whiskey language, it's just a way for you to remember what mattered most, what stuck out. So, here are my tasting notes from today. 1. Loss is inevitable. The choice is whether it happens by accident or by design. 2. The in-between. What you've built versus what you're built for, it requires time, intention, and release. 3. Alignment matters. Whether you're talking about an organization or just yourself, the strategy, the mission, the execution, they all have to line up. And what remains won't be less. It will be richer and truer and more aligned with your purpose. The angel share reminds us that letting go is not failure. It's actually part of the process. So what's your angel share? What do you need to release by design so you can move from what you've built to what you're built for? This is Crafted Clarity. And remember, clarity isn't found. It's crafted. Thanks for listening to Crafted Clarity. If you're a leader wrestling with the tension between success and significance, or you're trying to align your work with a deeper calling, I'd love to connect with you. If your organization is facing questions about strategy, whether it's alignment, ROI, or building confidence in your team, this is the work we do every day at iBrand. And if you walk this journey yourself, or maybe you're right in the middle of it, I'd love to hear your story and maybe even share it here on the podcast. You can find me at craftedclarity.net.